Welcome to the Inventor's Edge podcast, where insight meets innovation. Whether you're sketching your first idea or refining a finished product, you're in the right place. Our mission is to equip you with the tools, expertise, and clarity you need to succeed as an inventor, while helping you conquer fears and limiting beliefs that may be holding you back. I'm your host, Scott Putnam, founder and CEO of Inventor's Edge. Before becoming a seasoned product development coach, I was a wide-eyed inventor with a head full of ideas but no clear path forward. I know firsthand what it's like to feel stuck, uncertain, and overwhelmed. Fast forward to today, I'm a successful entrepreneur with multiple licensing deals and products on the market. I'm committed to helping inventors like you overcome obstacles, conquer fears, and transform your ideas into tangible success through proven, actionable, step-by-step strategies that deliver real results. Join us as we bring in industry pros, share expert advice, and dive deep into the world of innovation. Ready to turn your ideas into reality? Let's get started. Welcome to the Inventor's Edge podcast. I'm your host, Scott Putnam. Are you an inventor or entrepreneur and you're wondering how to get your toy or your game idea into the marketplace? If so, you are in the right place. In this episode of the Inventor's Edge podcast, we're excited to have the one and only Matt Nuccio, a legend in the toy category with an incredible amount of experience, running family business, winning tons of awards, and just an all-around Renaissance man. Matt, welcome to the show.
Well, that's some introduction, Scott. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, hey, let's just jump in. Tell us where you're from and maybe just a little more about yourself.
Sure. Where am I from? Well, I grew up in Long Island, New York, and, so I'm a New Yorker through and through. That's, well, some people go, hey, your accent isn't that New York. You give me two beers, I'll be talking like this, right? So, and I
Sweet.
start dropping a lot of four-letter words. But for the most part, I try to keep it clean because we make toys, and I need to stay appropriate at all times. So that's where I'm from. And what was the next question? What do I do? As you said, I design toys. Toys and games for a living for my entire life. Actually, I grew up in it. It's all I actually know. I grew up family business.
So when you say New York, you really mean the North Pole then? Is that what I'm getting?
Yes, yes, yes. Well, Long Island is, it's a little secluded island off of I always try to explain to people, I grew up on the islands, like New York, and I've only lived on an island in my life. This is actually true. I've only lived on Long Island, Manhattan Island, and Hong Kong Island. So I just say I'm an island boy. And then my
Wow.
grandparents are from Sicily, which is an island, and my other set of grandparents are from Madeira, which is an island. So I come from a long line of islanders.
Long Island of Islanders.
A long line of Long Islanders.
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much for being on the show. I'm really excited. I know we've talked a lot of times, and I have some great questions for you, and you're a wealth of information for really any inventor or product developer that might have ideas about a toy or games. One of the things I think that always comes up, as I've coached people over the years, it's like, what does it take to bring a toy idea? Let's say it's just a sketch on a napkin or a concept, or maybe they played around with some prototypes and things, but what does it take to get something like that to market from your perspective?
Well, let's do like the who, what, where, when, and whys, right? So who, I guess that's the inventor. What's the product? Where is the toy market? Why? I don't know. So this didn't even work. Who, what, where, when, why doesn't work? So let's go straight into how that would work. Well, it takes a lot of time, money, energy, resources. Um, a lot of inventors seem to think just the idea is the lotto ticket. It's
Yeah.
problem solving, it's slot filling, it's understanding the market, it's understanding price points, understanding gameplay. It's
Yeah.
either falling into it perfectly or doing a lot of research. The successful
Sure.
toy inventors I know this market.
Yeah. Got it. How did you get into I know family business. I feel like, did you just grow up and your dad said, hey, Matt, this is what you're going to do for the rest of your life?
So my dad worked at three different toy companies before he started designing with my mother, but he worked at Ideal Toys, Aurora Toys, or he worked for them, and then he worked at HG Toys for about 17 years. And HG Toys made a lot of like dress up sets, like chips and stuff like that. But my favorite one is this one here because to show you the height of licensing programs in the 70s is like every kid wanted to be Frank Serpico, the cop that all the other cops hated, right?
Right.
The guy gets shot, right? But they did like a lot of Dukes of Hazard sets and like I said,
Mhm.
Chips and Thundercats and He Man and all the hot licenses of the day. So I grew up
Yeah.
going to that office all the time, and that company was large. I mean, by 1984, there were about 120 mil, something like that, hovering in that area. And that's, in
Wow.
today's dollars, that's
Yeah.
quite some number. Big offices, huge R&D department, and I would just
Mm.
hang out in the model shop with 20 guys that were all just high on glue and spray paint fumes, and yeah. Yeah, but a little kid, and they'd like stick me in the corner with some like sculpting tools, or I'd take blocks of foam and try to carve my own pirate sword and like things like that. It was just so yeah, really into it from a young age, and then I would mostly be when I was at those offices. It wasn't like I was just purely hanging out. I was being used as cheap labor for child modeling. So I show up on a lot of toy packaging in the late '80s, I mean the early '80s, sorry, and also for toy and licensing testing. So they'd show me like a TV show, a pilot, and they'd ask me what I think before they signed it. Like a story that I recently told is that when I don't even know how old I was, but they showed me the pilot for Thundercats, and I thought it was fantastic. And I went to school and I told all my friends about it, and that pilot took almost 2 years before it came to air. So I had 2 years of my friends be like, "Yeah, the show about the fighting cats, right?" They always thought I made it up. And then
That's
when it finally
awesome.
came, I was like, "I told you it was a real show."
Nice. You got the redemption at the end. That's good.
Yes, yes, yes.
Awesome. I feel like you probably had one of those households where all the friends wanted to come over and hang out because you had like toys everywhere, or was it not the
I
case at
mean,
home?
it's the '80s, so times were very different then. But my friends and I like to play a lot of army. In fact, we had our own army, and the guys at the block had their own army, and there was like each group was at least 40 kids strong. And once my
Mhm.
father realized we were doing this, he came home with cases of toy Uzi machine guns, which we just like gave out to my entire army.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. Today that would not fly, and this is back when toy
Right.
guns looked real.
Yeah. Yeah. So you were the well-equipped, kids on the block that had like, whoa, don't mess with that group.
Yep, yep. But now, like, you'd make the news if you saw 40 kids running down the street with what looked like Uzis.
Man. Yeah, for sure. No doubt. I think, I always, as an inventor and as someone that's had some toy ideas, and I know we've talked in the past, I always like to really look at this and ask industry experts through the eyes of the average inventor. I guess what are some things that you look for in terms of, well, probably a multi-part question here, but let's say somebody reaches out to you because they have a toy idea. Is it okay if it's just a sketch on a napkin concept, or do you want people to have things more fleshed out, or do you have a preference with that?
No, I don't. I wouldn't say it's harder. I think if you come to me and you've got a great idea and I know how to get it done, then it's a good chance we'll get it done. But if you come
Mhm.
to me and there's no obvious solution, don't expect me to figure it out for you. Like, the classic, like, it's a hoverboard. Well, how does it work? I don't know. You figure it out. I'm like, I'm not going to figure it. If I figure out how to make a hoverboard work, I'm not giving you the royalty. The invention's making, there's a difference between an idea and an invention. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. We,
Yeah,
lots of people, figuring out the solution is the invention, you know.
right. Yeah. The people, I think a lot of people think, hey, I have this brilliant idea that's worth $1 billion. You just take it and do your thing. I did the hard part. I came up with the idea.
Right, right,
It's hard to coach those people because it's like, I hate to break this to you, but the ideas are the easy part. It's everything that comes after that that,
right.
you
Which is
know,
why knowing a market and an industry is very important as an inventor, because
yeah,
you have to know how to develop that product for that market, and otherwise it's not really an invention. I often meet people who have just They're like lone wolves. They came up with the idea. They developed it on their own. They took control of everything. They're very proud of themselves. I see it. I'm like, what's your cost of goods? What's the size of this?
Hmm.
Like the seed of the idea was great, but you just spent $200,000 on a product that can never be sold with no margin. You'll never make your money back because from the onset they didn't. Nothing was done right, and they worked under a canopy, not knowing what was going on around them.
Hmm. Yeah. And I see that in a lot of different areas, whether that's like spent money too much on prototyping or too much on patenting or whatever. I think it makes a massive case for, get some expert input on things early
Yeah,
on.
yeah, and I get a lot of people that they try to put every bell and whistle possible into an idea,
Right.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, oof, it's like just focus on the best part of it. Save the rest for later.
Yeah. That must be an inventor thing where they want to turn everything into the Swiss Army knife of products instead of like, let's strip some things away from this and make it more your minimal viable,
Yeah, I
awesome.
mean, I'd rather have a really good knife. And I always say, like, the Swiss Army knife is a really shitty knife, a terrible corkscrew, not a the worst scissor you could probably have in your life. It's
Yeah.
like,
That's a
you
good
know,
point.
it's
It's
not,
a
yeah,
collection of everything mediocre slapped into one
yeah,
thing.
yeah. It's actually a lot like me.
Maybe I think that's human nature, right? As humans, we're all flawed. We're all like this DNA that's kind of put together.
Well, I often, the other thing I see is they have an idea, and it's a good idea, but rather than focus or put their money into getting that idea, fleshed out and completed, designed to a proper cost, really pointed in the right direction. Instead,
Mm.
they've just gone this way, and they're now focusing on extensions and all the other things that they can do. I'm like, the primary product isn't done.
Mm.
This is like the most ADD version of product development. They've got 20 variations of something that the center product is not, has no success. Is not even finished as an idea.
Yeah,
Finish the primary idea before you start thinking about the extensions and the TV show spinoff and the movie to come 20 years later.
right. All the merchandise.
Yeah, they're in a fantasy, which is a lot of fun though. I can see, and especially in toys, and you can. It's like, ooh, this is
Yeah,
so much fun to think about. Uh,
yeah,
and we all have those dreams, but don't dump money into it. First, get the first thing done.
yeah. I mean, that's good practical advice. I think as inventors, we're creatives. Where our brains just keep spinning these little eddies off, and it's like, ooh, I could do that. Like the ideas just keep flowing. And sometimes the challenge is to put the blinders on a little bit and not allow yourself to spin off in so many different directions. And really, focus is always a theme when I'm coaching people because I get that. I mean, I've had to train my brain not to just perpetually spin off into, oh, we could do this and then this and then this.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll listen to this podcast when it's all done and be like, wow, we were all over the place.
Probably. That's okay though. This is natural. This is organic, man. This is just kind of shooting from the hip a little bit and just getting real with things. And that's what I want to do too. I mean, one of my missions for the podcast is to, talk to industry experts like you and really be able to bring good ideas, good information to people that's the truth, whether they want to hear it or not.
Hmm.
But that's the reality that might be sometimes a painful pill to swallow, but you feel better later. You're better off later.
Yeah.
And yeah, with that in mind, I guess when people reach out to you, maybe you could talk us through a little bit of what you offer people and also how you work with companies. So I know you work with Mattel and Hasbro and some of the
Yeah.
big guys.
We work with all the big, over the lifespan of the company, I think we've worked with every major toy company. So what we are a toy company for hire. So we do quite a lot of things. So we do complete development projects for large toy companies. And we also do like a la mode sort of stuff, like if they need just a mechanism figured out, a prototype built, or package design or whatever. We do all that sort of stuff. That's all work for hire sort of stuff. I also really great at helping startups get to market. So if there's an entrepreneur out there, whether they're an inventor or they just want to start a toy company, we have all the connections. We completely, we can design, we can engineer, we can get all that stuff done, but we can also manufacture and set up distribution. So that's become actually a very strong part of our business. A, because our reputation keeps growing, and B, it's in some respects a little easier to get to market now than it was, 30, 40 years ago. And of course, as inventors, we help, license their product, and we've had some success with that. And of course, we invent on our own as well. We've been nominated for Toady a bunch of times, and as you are aware, one of the products we developed this year, which was an inventor item that
Hmm.
brought to market by an entrepreneur. So this one hits all the marks, right?
Yeah.
We did everything for that. We brought the invention to the company. We designed it. We engineered it. We lined up the distribution, and we did everything correct. We did it to the right
Yeah.
price point. We did everything aimed toward just to aim to build distribution deals and to garner partners, and it's paying off.
Yeah. Sweet. Yeah, that's such a sweet. For me, that's full circle because I work with, some of the guys involved in that project, and it's so cool to see it winning, or being nominated and like just really getting those accolades that it deserves. Is really, really a cool product.
And that's an example. Like he came to me with just a drawing, you know.
Sketch.
Yeah,
Here's
but
a
the idea was rooted. Like it made sense. The
Mm-hmm.
challenge there, because we tried licensing it a few times, but his drawings were made it appear to be overbuilt.
Mm-hmm.
So then once I realized that was the problem, like how do we make this affordable? How do we make this simple? And how do we make it cornhole but not cornhole? And it was really just figuring out different ways to different types of material, a different approach to it to make it its own thing, which is ultimately became.
Yeah. So was that one of the deals where maybe it was a little bit Swiss Army knife-ish, but we started peeling away some of the layers?
I mean, I'd have to go back to my notes. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked because every inventor does if there was lights and sound in there originally, and then we stripped them out because that's probably one of the first thing I would have been like, nope,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
because that's the first thing
Yeah.
everyone does: lights and sound. You ask somebody to come up with an idea, I guarantee you it has light and sound in it.
Electronics and yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think everyone's idea of it's funny because I think whether we realize it or not, I think the modern idea of the inventor is pretty much Edison, and what did he do?
Hmm.
Light and sound. So everyone thinks that's the
Yeah.
pinnacle of inventing. So we need to throw light and
Right.
sound into it.
For sure.
But the more savvy modern inventors, they want AI in it. That's the new thing.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, let's get AI involved in some capacity and really take this thing into the next level.
Yes, yes,
The cornhole shootout, I want to give a little plug to that. It's
sure.
such a cool product, and that is available now on Amazon,
Yeah,
right?
and Toady,
So
if you don't know, is toy of, well, I know you know, but people who don't, is Toy of the Year. That's the Academy Awards of toys. So that's a big honor. And I hope everyone involved, wins. It's not my
yeah,
first rodeo, but it's still exciting for me, and I'm giddy for the other guys involved because it is their first time. It's like, oh, cool,
yeah.
welcome to the club.
Right, yeah, for sure. Earning your stripes, getting the accolades. That's super cool. So you mentioned licensing. I didn't know, is that something you guys, I know it's not probably the forefront of your business model, but that is something you're open to along with helping people develop the products,
Yeah, we license
for
quite a
them.
lot of products. We license product to the major toy companies. We've had licensing deals with every major toy company: Spin Master, Mattel, Hasbro.
Nice.
Still got we got plenty of products that have been on the market for a very very long time.
Yeah, awesome. Very cool. So, in terms of working with, let's say, the average inventor, what are some things that frustrate you? Like, not this again. Like, what would that be? Just so our listeners could say, okay, whatever I do, don't do these things.
There's nothing wrong with anything that any inventor does. It's sort of their dream. Where it becomes frustrating is if I start smelling some sort of like when they start relying on the idea, they've convinced themselves that this idea is going to make them a multi millionaire, and when things aren't moving the way that they are, they start panicking as if they're losing millions of dollars. It's some
Mhm.
weird psychological effect that on certain people that I found, like like they almost hyperventilate. I don't understand. This is the best idea. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
we work on thousands of products, and if honestly, if we work on 100 products and five take, that's amazing.
Hmm.
It very much is a numbers game because it's not even the other thing is people don't realize the end goal isn't to get the licensing deal. The end goal is
Hmm.
to for the consumers to buy a hell of a lot of them. You know how many barriers there are between you bringing it to me getting a licensing deal, the licensor then putting money into developing it, then having to convince retail to put it out, retail then getting behind it. Then after retail gets behind it, the consumers need to be like, oh my God, I want this, I need this. Then they have to hold their attention span that it lasts for long enough for you to actually make money, and it's not just like a quick blip and quick down. I always say
Right.
this is pop music, right? This is fashion, and it's fast fashion.
Mm.
Many toys are like, oh wow, I have a hit toy. You know how many hits we've worked on that were like shot through the roof super fast and then came down even faster? That if I even said the names of them to you, you'd be like, I never even heard of that. But they were gigantic in their time, and it's that's this business. And very few things stick, but if they stick, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Right. Hula hoop, slinky,
Yeah,
rock'em sock'em robot.
yeah.
Yeah, and do you get a sense when you look at ideas that people present, is it like a gut feeling like, oh, this could be the next something that really has that staying power, or do you rely more on kind of more data driven, or how much of that is like internal based on your experience?
I always get excited. I mean, it's just fun to look at a new product,
Yeah.
and if it excites me tomorrow or the next day, that's even better. Like in
Mm.
the case of Cornell Shootout, I think it was a couple of years that I was sitting on that, but I always loved it, and I was always showing it, and I showed big toy companies, and they're like, too generic. I was like, but it's so obvious. That's what I thought the brilliance
Yeah.
of it was this obviousness, and I
Right.
think just people would get it. You don't have to explain it to anybody. You look at it and you're like, I know how to play that. I feel like it's one of those games that no one's going to read the instructions. They're going to just like have their own version of it.
Right. Yeah. Not even, yeah, this is easy to put together. And you can start playing it in 5 minutes when it's
Yeah,
ready to go. And
and you can play with the kids. You can play with grandma. You can play with a 12 pack of beer. Like it's
yeah,
checks a lot of boxes.
the best games ever.
Yes, yes. Especially when it's grandma with a 12 pack of beer, right?
Yeah, wouldn't be the first time. That's awesome. We call that aiming fluid. How about some things that you really, let's say if I could get some best practices out there for, hey, here's your top 3 things as an inventor to make sure you do before reaching out to, let's say, industry experts like yourself.
Well, I feel like you're going to get the same answer from everybody that you interview that's in this space, but it's tried and true. Do your research is number
Yeah,
one, and do your research is number two, and do your research is number three.
right.
But what are you researching? Okay, number one, you're researching is the product out there, right? Right? And then you're researching what the industry's like, and then you're researching who to talk to in the industry.
Yeah, perfect. Great, great stuff.
Yeah, I
How
made
about
that up as I went along. It worked actually. So
Yeah, I mean, research is always the first thing. It's free. Spend some time. I know a lot of inventors, including me, when I started, like I would do the research just really tentatively. Like I don't want to find it. So I'm not doing it as thoroughly. I'm not doing it as aggressively. I'm just trying to kind of stay on the, in the shallow end of things so I can just jump right in. And that was like a huge mistake because the further into it you go, the more money you spend. And then you're just all of a sudden, somehow you're something really similar to what you have or exactly what your idea is just pops up. And it's like, what? Better to find that early.
well, and then the other thing that happens is certain ideas are just in the ether, or they're just part of the time, the moment, the space. And then I get a lot of
Hmm.
people with those ideas. Like when the poop emoji thing was big. I can't tell you how many poop toy ideas I saw, right? But I still
Yeah.
like that shit. So it's like, but retail's, it's saturated, and it could be the best thing ever. But that goes down, and then it comes back up, right? And now's the time to bring that sort of stuff back. So it's also the cycles of things.
Hmm.
And I think, again, understanding the industry and seeing the cycles. Sometimes you got a good
Yeah.
idea and it's at the peak of one cycle. You might say, let me back burner this, hold on to it for a little
Hmm.
while, bring it back in a
Yeah.
couple of years. Especially in
Right.
toys, every couple of years there's a whole new batch of kids.
Yeah, it's true. They grow up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you talk about cycles, that's also like trends in certain types of toys. And
Mm-hmm.
where do you recommend if somebody wanted to research that? I mean, I know you can go to Google and look up Google trends and toys, but do you have any secret places that you go to research that kind of stuff?
And retail, just walk retail. That's the best
Yeah.
one possible. There are, like, if you belong to the Toy Association, you will get trend reports.
Okay. That's
That's
great.
probably the best from an outside inventors thing that I can get. After that, you have to find like a good agent or somebody that's in the business who either knows or has access to getting data, because we do get a lot of information ourselves from big toy companies. They tell us what's going on, where they see things going. And oftentimes this company says this company says that. So I'm like, okay, whatever.
In the middle. Yeah. Collecting the data and trying to make your own. Yeah. Kind of disseminating all of that. And I think that's what's interesting. So you are a toy agent essentially, right? Is that accurate or is
Well,
that
toy agent's one of the hats I wear, but toy product development is what we are.
okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason we have success licensing is because if you walk in with a drawing that nobody has any idea how to fix, they're going to be like, we're not going to license your idea and put lots of money in it to figure it out for you. If I
Hmm.
walk in and I say, I think this is a good idea, and they'll look at me like, you know how to solve it? I'm like, yeah. Okay, let's go.
Yeah. Relationships matter.
Relationships matter, but the relationship they have with me is I'm the guy who usually they would hire to do that to begin with. So if I tell them it can be done,
Yeah.
they're more likely to listen.
And that's such a difference between, average Joe trying to knock on these doors versus you knocking on these doors. And I know in the past we talked about when you go to present a product to these retail buyers, there's such a difference between having a physical prototype and just walking in with a sell sheet or even showing a video on an iPad or something.
Listen, having something solved and having something in the tangible is always the best approach.
Yeah. And that's something you can help people develop if they say, "Hey, I got a great idea. I love it." And you
Oh
like
yeah,
it. But
oh yeah.
yeah, that's nice. And you guys do pretty much A to Z, right? Here's the
We're
concept
straight
and
A
right
to Z. Yep, everything.
okay.
And the other thing is, I will tell you if I don't like. Actually, if you ever interview David, you're the
Yeah.
guy.
Former
He will
student of
tell you that
mine.
he pitched me lots of items, and I was like, nope, nope, nope,
Yeah.
nope.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's what I love about people that are very honest. And I feel like your delivery is a little different than other New Yorkers. Like if you don't like it, you're going to say, "Hey, it's a cool idea. And, you got some good stuff here, but," and then give them the bad news versus other people that give you the bad news and you feel like you just got punched in the
yeah.
face.
I'm like, oh wow, this sucks.
Yeah. What are you thinking?
My favorite though is interesting. I'm like, oh, don't tell me. Even when I pitch, I'm like, interesting. That's that's
Mhm.
that's the worst thing I want to hear. I don't have
Yeah.
anything to say.
Right. Yeah.
Once or twice, something actually was interesting, and then I go, "That's interesting," and then I kind of laugh to myself. I'm like, "That's funny. I think it's interesting." But yeah,
That's super funny. Yeah, and I think for those people listening that might be wondering, okay, I got a lot of ideas, and maybe I have a notebook full of ideas. How do I get these in front of, a professional like you that could look at those? Do you ever do that with inventors? Like, hey, I got 20 ideas. Can I just spitball them at you one after another? Or is that I know that takes some time.
yeah, I can and I will. I no longer do that for free though. It's gotten to the point where that can become my whole day. And
Yeah.
but that's what organizations like the UIA or IFIA, or if you want to bounce your
Mhm.
ideas or walk through them, they're better resources for that. But if you really, really want to get into it, and you want me to, and we want to really sit down and be like, you really think it's got some golden ideas, yeah, by all means, I'll tell you. And oftentimes, we structure our deals in a way where it becomes open and we're partnerships. I want to. I'm going to put my input into that. I'm not just going to like, that's a good idea. Let's go with it. I'm not like your regular agent. We're development. So I'm like, that's good, but we have to change this, and that. Or if we want to be able to, then we'll adjust it and we'll fix it, or
Mhm.
we'll solve the problems. We'll try to get as many problems solved before it actually gets in the faces of inventor relations or a retail buyer.
Yeah. Perfect. And do you normally present products to the retail buyers yourself, or do you have a team of people that do that for you?
I have been known to meet with buyers. It's not my cup of tea. I
Mhm.
like when you go to Walmart, like you expecting to have this. I remember my first trip to Walmart. I was like, Walmart, this is the biggest retailer on earth. Can't wait to have this meeting. He's gonna be impressed. I mean, honestly, the meeting, I thought I was visiting somebody in prison. Like it was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And the buyers come in like you got 5 minutes. We got and like so you really need a seasoned toy rep or salesperson who knows the points, knows exactly what to get to. That's another mistake I think entrepreneurs like they no one sells your product better than I do. That is true, but you should be there to accompany the sales rep that brought you there so that you
Mm.
could be the backup data. Do not think that, yes, over time you could become a seasoned salesperson, but as a startup, you know, unless you're crazy charming and you can hit points like there's no tomorrow, and you've done your research, but no, you're not. Don't expect to walk into a Barnes and Noble and have a captivated 30-minute meeting with the buyer. No, they've got
Right.
they've got a lot to do.
Yeah. And as inventors, I think too, we want to tell the whole story. Yeah, I thought of this when I was 9 years old,
Yeah,
like,
you,
and the
you
buyer's
you're
like
ten
looking at
minutes
their
ten
watch.
minutes in, and you're like, and little Timmy thinks it's the best idea that ever existed. Now let me show you the item. Like they're already lost. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, really. And I think people maybe sometimes learn that the hard way, but that's really makes a good case for work with people that have been there, done that, know what they're doing, have that experience. It can just save you, even if you're spending a little money up front to do that, you're going to save a lot of time and money and brain damage down the road,
Yep.
which is good. Awesome. Well, I know we're getting to our time here. This is a good place to just ask if you have any final thoughts for our Inventors Edge listeners, which are a variety of inventors and entrepreneurs and people with incredibly creative ideas that are a lot of them, just what do I do with this idea? Like looking for answers about what to do first, where to focus. But any final thoughts?
Just keep on inventing. Like, if you're an inventor, be an inventor. You don't have to figure out all the rest. You find other people to help you do that sort of stuff. You don't want to start switching positions. It's like the old Hedgeberg joke. He's like, hey man, you're a good chef. Can you farm? It doesn't work. Just stay in your lane.
Right. Yeah. That's great advice. And I think that speaks to the like sometimes we got to just train our brain to stop spinning off in so many directions. And I think if people that study some of the most successful people in the world, one of the big attributions, that or what they attribute to their success is focus, which is for a lot of us, it's like that's probably our hardest thing to do sometimes. So
Yeah, I wasn't
great.
even paying attention.
Yeah, I can repeat that if you want.
Where am I? What?
Yeah. What just happened? Where are we? Squirrel. Yeah, totally get it, man. Well, thanks so much for sharing your story, your insights. Yeah, I'm super excited. It's such a fascinating topic. And I know like toys and games are such a fun place to invent. I know there's a lot of competition, but it is something that, a lot of people have a lot of really creative ideas. And I think with the right information and the right help, they can really make some things happen here. So I'm confident our listeners have grab some great takeaways, as you approach your own inventing journey. So please share your comments, your thoughts, or questions about the episode. Be sure to connect with us on social media. If you're watching this on YouTube, please smash the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Matt, I appreciate you being here. I'm excited to get you back on the show in a future episode.
Sure, I'll be there.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Matt, for joining us. Honored to have you on. How can people get in touch with you if they want to maybe work with you, or
Sure,
what's the best way?
you can email me at matt@designedge.net, or a lot of people just find me on LinkedIn. So
Okay,
either or will work.
perfect. Awesome. Sounds great. And please check out inventors-edge.com for more resources to help you thrive. Thanks for tuning in to Inventors Edge, where every idea has the power to change the world. Remember, invent with purpose, innovate with passion, and bring your ideas to life. Till next time, keep pushing boundaries, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Adios.
Thanks for tuning in to the Inventor's Edge podcast. I'm your host, Scott Putnam, and if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a review, and please share it with fellow inventors. Your next breakthrough could be just around the corner. For more tools, tips, and resources, visit us at inventors-edge.com. Until next time, invent with purpose, innovate with passion, and bring your ideas to life.